Good morning. Welcome back, or welcome, it's your first time. I've got a lot to do in here, and it's not all going to happen today. Today I'm taking a break from fixing up the garage and trying to catch up on some of the projects. And one of the big ones that's looming, if you were here a couple of months ago, I did a toolbox, my son's toolbox. And when I got it from him, it had a base, but they didn't match. They didn't go together. Somebody had just made, years later, this base for the Machinists toolbox to sit on. And it's, you can tell it's some oak, but there's some plywood, and the handles are different. And but there's nothing wrong with it other than it's filthy, grimy, doesn't line up correctly, has old finish, and some mold or mildew, whatever you want to call it. Other than that, it's perfect. So I thought, let's get this done, get it in the house out of the bad, moist temperatures, and put them together so that we can get them down to my son. So this is the drawer, and I'll show you what I mean by mildewy, yucky mess, but a lot of it's just grease. And the base, again, not much to it. I'm gonna set her up for some scraping to start, just so we can kind of see what's there, take the hardware off, and see what I got myself into. Okay, I'm gonna go over the face of this thing with the scraper, because I want to kind of see what we're working with before I get into sanding or making any modifications. Like I said, the front is oak, and I think it'll clean up okay. Let me show you real quick, and then I'll finish it so you don't have to. I want to show you, I was using the scraper on here and now on the box just to get off that varnish, get under the varnish before sanding. The varnish will just clog up sandpaper so quick, and as I'm diving into this thing, they use solid pieces of not oak on the sides, and they've kind of they've cupped. And I don't know, everything works, so it's probably not that big a deal. We'll see when we get it down to bare nothing. Also, this back is a real thin veneered, look at that plywood. It's pretty, and it's not like we're gonna, if this were the top case of oak, I would be more concerned about preserving it, but I have some, hang on. One of my scraps, look at that. I think we can replace the back with something a little bit, and this is not much thinner, and it will help maintain the integrity and the structure of the box without compromising its look. Although, as I said, its look doesn't really match anything. There's a ton of nails and screws in here, so even the scraper is getting angry, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get this back off and scrape from there. No judgment. This held up for who knows how many years, but when I got that little thin ply off the back, none of the nails came off. So I thought, let's see what it takes to hold a Machinist toolbox base together. And they did use some glue on these, and just not on the ends. Let's get a count. There's 1, 2, Were you counting? 32 nails to hold this back on. I think we're going to go with something a little different on that. Maybe I don't know, a couple of screws, maybe 6 or so. Oof, yeah, I bet we can do it with 6. We'll see. I took these into the deep sink. I think you can see a difference. I scrubbed them out, and they were pretty filthy. A lot of, machinist tools, a lot of grease and grime. So today, we're gonna start with the drawer, and get it sanded. And here's where the surprise comes. Are you ready for it? Oh no! Look. I can get a seal over my glasses and my beard. Why so extreme? In case you don't know, I have really bad lungs. And so I've been getting by on respirators and things, but this is my TED Talk day. Protect your eyes, protect your fingers, protect your... Okay. First round of sanding is done. This thing performed really well. No fogging, and it's cold and wet and damp and nasty here right now. No fogging, no discomfort. These don't last according to the instructions. 40 hours, that's fine, or 30 days. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I went with nails because it matched the vibe. That's what was in there before. It's kind of an old, I picture a machinist who needed a little extra room throwing this thing together and being pretty proud of his work when he was done because it held all his whatever. And so we're going to keep it like that. So we're going to go back to some sanding, and I'm not going to make you go with me. Okay, do not let your wife catch you doing this. I am boiling my linemans on her stove and her pan. We're going to get them good and warm. You don't have to go crazy. Lift it up. It doesn't happen at once. Oh, you can't see that. There we go. One down. There's a ton of rust in there and on there, and we're almost done for the day, so I figured let me clean up some of the tools I was using today. And of course it went to that next step, that next level. But this is a great way to get these off if they've been stuck on there for a while. Look at it. That one came right off. Anyway, now if you do this, clean up the evidence before she comes back. So how is that relevant to the toolbox? Throughout this day, I've been using tools, obviously, and I had, hang on, these two needle nose. I've had this one since I was, I don't know, 17, 18, and this one were pretty rusty crusty. So when I was picking up for the day, I was like, gosh, run them over the wire. The tool's already set up. I didn't take the grips off. They were just had a lot of surface rust. And then I coated them in some Vaseline and mineral spirits. And these are the ones that sit on my board that they grab every day. While I was doing that, I remembered these linemans. They're no names. I found them on the roof of my awning after I had my service replaced at the house. And I contacted the city. I said, I think one of your guys left his lineman's here. And then I contacted the electrical contractor that they were working with. And I said, hey, I think somebody left their lineman's here. And they had sat up there for about a week in the rain. And then I brought them in the garage. I think I wiped them down, but then I just shoved them up there. And they were solid. You couldn't open them. They were just completely bound up. So while I was doing those, I sprayed a little bit of PB Blaster. You saw we boiled these and took them off. Went over with a quick wire wheel. There's been no sanding, no strip sander, no nothing. Just a wire wheel. And now, if they ever show up and want them back, they're more than happy to hold them for them. But now they can sit on my bench over here and be useful and cared for. Could I have gone in and taken all the pitting out and all? Yeah, but not for this. This is a daily use, daily grab. Sits in a cold environment. And there's nothing wrong with that. Clean up your tools at the end of the day, basically. Pick up your toys. When you're done playing, pick up your toys. Also, make sure you share. Okay, so we're going to go get the handles on the box, clean up the mess, and we're going to be done. So, I'm getting a coat of wax on the outside. I have a thing of beeswax I'm going to rub on the inside to help the drawers slide better. And then we're going to put a wrap on it. I'll buff it out here after it, I'll let it sit for a bit. And I'm going to... All right. You see the pictures. She's done. Maybe I can get a reaction video when we run her down to San Diego and drop it off with my son. I don't know. Won't promise you nothing, and you probably don't really care that much anyway. But if you stuck through this whole process, the top box, and now the add-on part, the add-on part is a way later, much less piece of craftsmanship, but together they work, and hopefully it'll serve them for a long time, because I ain't doing another one. Thanks for being here. Bye.